Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Top 5 Saturdays Live. I fucked that up because it's live with me, Chase Lee, and my co-host
Brian Sutfield.
That's fucking right. And hey, listen, guys, this week we have a slew of movies coming out this week. A slew of movies, but we decided to do something extra special. But before we begin, welcome. If this is your first time to this show, what we do is we'll take a movie coming out on a weekend and we'll take a look at an actor, actress, director, genre, what have you, and we'll make a top 5 list according to that topic. And the cool thing about the show, it's live, so we have no idea what the hell's going to come out of our mouths, just like that little flub at the opening there. And we don't know each other's lists, so it's going to be a lot of fun trying to guess. And Brian gets really angry because I usually guess 100% correct all the time, every time. So, yeah, so that's what this show is. And if you're watching on YouTube, sorry that this episode won't be up until Saturday, but if you're listening on Spreaker, you can get this episode right now. Because the private little switch doesn't work on mobile, so I have to make it live. So you're welcome. You get this one early if you're listening on audio, but if you're watching on YouTube, you will not get it until Saturday. But yeah. So before we get into our topic, Brian, what's going on with you? What's going on?
Not much, man.
Brian is actually it's coming down to the wire, the days of high school for him, the last and final moments.
Yeah, prom's next week. Yeesh.
Wow, man, look at that.
And then graduation, 1 month, exactly from this day, 1 month and 4 days until I graduate.
Yeah, I feel fucking old. All right, so, yeah, because for all you guys don't know my age, I'm 26, so which means I graduated in 2008. Yikes, my 10 years in a couple years. All right, before I go cry in a ball of depression for the rest of the night, Brian, would you like to introduce what we're doing this week and what this episode is?
Well, like Chase said, there's a lot of movies coming out this week. We could have honored the Angry Birds movie. We could have honored Neighbors 2. But instead, we decided to go with The Nice Guys, which is definitely the most anticipated film for us film lovers of this entire week. It's definitely the most anticipated one. It's definitely mine. So when I came up with this episode, I just didn't know who to exactly honor, whether it be one of the stars or both. We decided to honor both. Now, we're honoring both Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, or as I like to call them, Russell Crowbar and Ryan Gasolin. And this episode, this particular one, we're honoring Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, so it's going to be a two-parter this week, guys. You get 2 of them, so enjoy. So if you hate Russell Crowe, don't worry. We got a Ryan Gosling for you. If you hate fucking Ryan Gosling because he looks so goddamn pretty, and guess what? We got a Russell Crowe one. So that is what this episode is, guys, is Ryan Gosling. This is the actor to me that's just, coming up in the ranks, man. He's been acting for quite a while now, ever since he was a kid, but, it's not until maybe, I don't know, 2010 maybe, that he made, a severe splash on Hollywood, and he's just been doing stuff constantly ever since. He was, like I said, he was in stuff before that, but I think 2010 was the year that he kind of broke out. And yes, I'm very well aware the Notebook came out way before that, but the thing is, that was a one-time wonder, and then, like I said, there were certain movies in 2010 that came out to where, like I said, he just exploded on screen. So Ryan Gosling, to me, is just one of the best up-and-coming actors. I always get excited when I watch him. He can do it all, guys. He can do comedy. He can do action. He can do drama. He can do really weird kind of art house films. The guy's got it. He's got a full wide range. I want to see him do, a horror movie next, or, a straight-up action movie. Not like The Nice Guys where it's an action comedy blend, a straight up Jason Bourne type movie. That'd be pretty cool to see Ryan Gosling in a badass mode. Of course, there is one movie you could argue that, and we'll get to that maybe on one of our lists. But yeah, he's just, to me, just one of those up and coming ones that I always enjoy watching. So Brian, before we get into our list, when you think of Gosling, do you get excited to go see one of his movies, and which genre do you think that he nails the best?
I've been excited to see him in any film since 2011. I remember before that, I was always judging him just for The Notebook because that was the only thing I really knew him. And yeah, I knew he did some other stuff. He was an Oscar nominee. He got his Oscar nomination in 2006 for Half Nelson. And Yeah, 2011 was like the big year for him because he had 3 big films that year, both critical and commercial successes. Particularly critical because he was like on fire that year. He got like so much award buzz and everything for that particular year. But for me, I'm always excited whenever I see Gosling on screen. Listen, I think I've said this numerous times on the show. I am a straight guy. I have plenty of man crushes in Hollywood. Ryan Gosling is definitely one of them. When you look at this guy, he looks good. With facial hair, he looks good. When he's clean shaved, he obviously looks good. Like, it's just incredible. But he's a talented, tremendous talent in Hollywood right now. I personally like seeing him more in the really severely dramatic stuff. I love when he does comedy because when we bring up a certain film, if it's on either one of our lists, we'll talk about how like superb he is when it comes to comedy. Yeah, drama. I love seeing him in the most. I agree. I would love to see him do an action movie. I'm glad that he's going to be pursuing something in sci-fi with Blade Runner 2. I cannot wait to see what he does in that film. Yeah, Gosling, he's definitely a talent. People should always check out.
Yeah, no, he's one of the best, and this is why we're honoring him. So let's do it, guys. All right, so Top 5 Saturdays Live coming at you, ladies and gentlemen. Chase Lee and Brian Studsfield's list of our favorite Ryan Gosling films. So I have to ask you, Brian, every single week, what is your number 5 favorite Ryan Gosling film of all time?
Now, for my number 5, it is a film that I don't know if you've seen it yet. A few days ago, we talked about it in our last episode. My number 5 is The Ides of March. I keep bringing up this film because I've said this before. I am not a political person. Now, people may think, oh, you're just 18. You're not supposed to be. I kind of am. This year's our election, and I just turned 18 this year, so I'll be eligible to vote. So, but The Ides of March, like I said this last week, Clooney's direction was so good. The gripping script that he co-wrote with Grant Hasselhoff, his partner in crime, is just stellar. It was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. But Gosling carries the film. This is his film. I said this last week because people asked me, why would you put this on your list if Clooney's not in it? Well, for one thing, he directed the film. So, I mean, it is kind of his film, but Gosling is the star of the film. He carries the movie as the junior campaign manager for George Clooney. The lead campaign manager is Philip Seymour Hoffman. I should have said that last week. Some people were kind of confused when I said that. But, yeah, Gosling was on fire. I think out of all the films that came out in 2011, I think this was the one that he should have gotten an Oscar nomination for, although he didn't get nominated for anything that year. But this one had the most dialogue. Talk about the other one later on, potentially. But, yeah, to me, I think this is a stellar film. It has that slow burn tension. The political drama aspect is, like, incredible. His chemistry with everybody is fantastic. There's this particular scene where he talks to Philip Seymour Hoffman's character about trust, or Philip Seymour Hoffman talks to him about trust, and it's honestly a really compelling scene. Like, him going back and forth with that incredible late great actor is just, it's incredible, and Gosling really carries the film. He does a stellar job here. I remember, like, when the film that came out before this came out, people were like, oh yeah, now he's like a damn good actor, but it's kind of still like the pretty boy aspect. While he has the pretty boy face here, this is like one of the manliest roles he's ever played because, he's serious. He's involved with politics. He's being serious about his job. It's fantastic. I love The Ides of March. Can't recommend it enough. That's my number 5.
Yeah, like I said last week, I've never seen that one, so I can't really comment on The Ides of March, but I want to check it out, and I definitely will since Brian gave me his Prime account, and that is on there. So I will. Hey, listen, I'm going to be gone for 6 days. If I want to watch shit on my phone, I got it there. I got that Amazon Prime app, so I will definitely check it out. So, all right, my number 5. I'm going to go with the one that everyone fucking hates. I'm going with The Notebook, sons of bitches. All right, now listen. The Notebook is the only Nicholas Sparks movie I like. Now, I've seen a shit ton of them, which I shouldn't have, but the last one I saw was Endless Love or whatever the fuck. I forgot what it was even about, but The Notebook to me, it works on many levels because, first of all, I like period piece love or whatever when it's set in a different decade or whatnot. I love that shit. I'm a sucker for it. But it's Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams' chemistry, which works really, really well in this movie. That's why it does work as a romantic movie. And do not sit there and fucking tell me you did not cry at the end. Because if you didn't, congratulations, you are a robot. You need to be put down now. Go call the Terminator and go have him kill you. Because there's no way that you can just sit there and be emotionless. Now, you might evoke a different emotion. I don't know what it would be, but you got to evoke something. It's a pretty powerful ending. And when I first saw the movie, I didn't see it coming because I didn't read the book or anything. I don't read any of the books, but I didn't see the ending coming, and it was a really powerful climax. I love the relationship that they have in the movie. I love the back and forth that they have in the movie. Yeah, I mean that's basically it. I mean it's just a pretty simple movie, and since I'm on my Entourage binge right now, Kevin Connolly is just he kind of plucked right in there in the middle of that movie. So yeah, no, I like it quite a bit actually. I own it. It is over there. I found it at a pawn shop like a couple months back for $1. I picked that shit up because I like it. Sue me. So yeah, Notebook's my number 5. So Brian, would you like to discuss this or move on?
I don't hate the Notebook, but I've told you this numerous times. I'm not really a fan of these kinds of romance films. I like the more serious romance films, one that we will bring up later on.
Oh, yes, we will.
But I like the Notebook. Well, first of all, Rachel McAdams is one of my baes in Hollywood, so automatically I'm already sold pretty much with everything she does, except for a few films. But Rachel McAdams is bae. It's funny because that year was like the most interesting year for her because the movie that came out that same year was Mean Girls. So she played a teenager, and then all of a sudden she played this adult. It was weird. It was kind of a weird thing. So there was I remember I think I was like in 10th grade when someone made this joke saying that like Mean Girls is like a sequel to The Notebook, and like without spoiling The Notebook, like they say if what happened to her character didn't happen, she would be like the way she was in Mean Girls because of what happened in The Notebook, because she's kind of bitchy in Mean Girls. She is very bitchy, but she's still good looking. Not as good looking in Mean Girls. She's very good looking in The Notebook. No, The Notebook's not a bad film. It's just I don't like the fact that most kids my age resonate Ryan Gosling particularly with that film.
No,
that's the thing.
That's the problem with that movie is that when people see it, because that was one of the first Gosling movies I saw. It's okay. That's not a problem. And you associate yourself with him as the Notebook guy. But if you watch more of his films, you go, holy shit, this guy is a class act. And that's what people have to realize is that they have to see more. You can't just see the Notebook and call it quits, because these next 4 I'm about to bring up, I mean, 3 of them arguably could be in my favorites of all time. I don't know yet. I'll have to sit and think about it for the next 30 years. But yeah, he was always known as the Notebook guy. But once you see him in more stuff, you're like, dude, this guy, he ain't fucking around. So yeah, that's my number 5. So moving on to number 4. Brian, what you got?
My number 4 is a film that surprisingly really shocked me considering how much in the movie he was in. I don't want to spoil anything, but if you know what movie I'm talking about, I think you have an idea. I thought from the trailers that he would be the lead of the film. He was a lead, but he really wasn't the lead. And my number 4 is The Place Beyond the Pines.
Okay.
For me, this is like a stellar film. It was so underrated. It should have gotten more award reception. Gosling was fantastic. If people don't know what it's about, he's a motorcyclist for like the circus or whatever. He finds out he had a kid with Eva Mendes, who's his real life partner. Fucking hate you, bro. Fucking hate you. You lucky fuck. Oh yeah, he just had another kid, so brava to that. Anyway, The Place Beyond the Pines. Yeah, he finds out he has a kid and he wants to like actually clean himself up and be a better father. And then it's because there's not enough money, he starts to rob banks with was it Ben Mendelsohn that helped him?
Mm-hmm.
It was Ben. Yeah, fucking dope. And then you have Bradley Cooper as this rookie cop on the chase for him, and then that's really all I'm going to say because
I was fixing to say, I would literally say no more than what you just said.
Exactly. Nothing. You guys need to know nothing more. That's literally what it says here on the Blu-ray on the back. I love this film so much. It was such a good film. Gosling was incredible here. I mean, look at the blonde hair. Even with this like wacko hairstyle, he still looks fucking good.
Looks good.
He,
It's great.
he, he looks Gucci. It's incredible. And Cooper was fantastic. This was just after he got his Oscar nomination for Civil Rights Playbook, so that showed people that he was a capable dramatic actor. Eva Mendes was great too. And then Ray Liotta was here. Fucking fantastic. My boy Henry Hill. I love The Place Beyond the Pines. It's a very intense, dark, gritty drama. And it really has a good 3-act structure. Like, the first act centers on one particular person. The second act does it on someone. And then the third act does it on someone. So it's really interesting the way this whole film was told. I love this film. Fantastic. My number 4.
That's a good pick. All right. My number 4. Keep a mental note, Brian. It's on there somewhere. All right. So my number 4 is, once again, I'm going to lead off with what Brian said. A movie to where I didn't know what to think of it because it looked dumb. Not to say Place Beyond the Pines looked dumb, but or misleading or whatever. This one, my number 4, it looked dumb. It looked like a traditional, shitty little movie, and I was like, I do not want to watch this. But we hear about the good reception, we hear about the good reviews, and I'm just like, oh shit, let me I gotta dab my foot in that thing, man. I gotta dive right in. So my number 4, because it was such a surprise, it was really well written, really well acted, and a pretty damn good romantic comedy with a lot of heart. I'm going with Crazy Stupid Love. Now, is Gosling the main actor? No, he's not. But he is a great supporting role to Steve Carell. And, you got Emma Stone and all that stuff. So every person in this movie works together really well. And this is one of the movies where you go, dude, Gosling's got some comedy chops. And that's why I'm really excited for a movie like The Nice Guys, where you can see that comedy kind of flourish even more in that movie. But there's nothing really more to say. Once again, with like The Place Beyond the Pines, I don't want to say anything about this movie. I just want to say that Steve Carell gets a divorce. He meets up with Ryan Gosling. He's kind of a womanizer, which, let's fucking face it, that's pretty much his life story. And he gets advice from him. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. But it's just a nice, fresh surprise. Watching this movie, everything just kind of comes out of left field. And you're like, what the hell? Like, this is great. It's really well written. It's all connected. It's awesome. And it's really funny. It's just charming. It's got a lot of heart to it. So I really enjoy Crazy Stupid Love quite a bit. And this is the movie where Gosling is basically just a heartthrob. He just is. There's really no depth to his character except for really good one-liners and kind of being the support system for Steve Carell and whatnot. Like I said, I don't want to spoil anything, but at the very end, once again, it just has a kind of shocking ending. I'm not gonna say it's gonna change your mind or blow your mind or whatever, but it just kind of catches you off guard or whatever. But yeah, I really like this movie quite a bit. It's a really nice, refreshing romantic comedy. So, Brian, would you like to talk about this one or move on?
I'm gonna have to move on with this one.
Okay, I'm gonna bet you guys this right now. Moving on to number 3, I guarantee you that Brian has Crazy Stupid Love at 3.
You are correct, sir. Crazy Stupid Love is my number 3 indeed. I love this film so much. Like you, I didn't know what to expect from this film. I was going to see it anyway because I'm like, oh, I like all these actors. And sure, I'm like, Gosling, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And he looked funny from the trailer, so I'm like, all right, sure. He was the standout of the entire film, in my opinion. He was definitely the funniest person in the whole film. His introduction alone, like just him looking when Steve Carell's like this, my wife had an intercourse with David Lindhagen, that motherfucking David Lindhagen. And another sequence that's funny. Do you remember the sequence where they go to the mall and then he's like on the ledge just eating that slice of pizza, and then he throws Steve Carell's shoes over the ledge?
Yep.
Like that too. Like just his timing. Like even if Gosling doesn't say anything, just his facial expressions just make the character work. And no one could have played this character, I think, as well as Gosling, because Gosling adds so much to it. He even got a Golden Globe nomination for this. He got 2 Golden Globe nominations that year. One for Ides of March, the other for Crazy Stupid Love. So that was, like I said, 2011 was really the biggest year for Gosling, and I still think it is the biggest year for him. Like you said, there's a moment at the end that catches you off guard, that makes you go, what the hell? Like, what's going on? I think we brought this up on the romantic comedy episode when I had this on my list. And yeah, I think this is a fantastic film. It was one of my favorites of 2011. I could watch this film over and over again, and you never expected Carell and Gosling to work well together, and they did in this movie, and they also worked together very well in The Big Short, a film that did not make my list. But I honestly, Part of me forgot that he was even in that, to be quite honest, Gosling. That's kind of not a good sign. But, yeah. Crazy Stupid Love, fantastic film. I love it to death. One of my favorite rom-coms. One of my favorite films of 2011. Love it so much. My number 3.
So, my number 3, me and Brian got it switched. I'm going Place Beyond the Pines. Place Beyond the Pines, to me, this is it's almost 3 hours. So it's like a 3-hour long epic drama about family. Like, it's crazy that the movie starts out the way it does and it ends the way it does. And you're like, holy shit. Because it's like what Brian said, it passes the torch. It goes from one character to the other. And you're like, wow, how does this all make sense? But then at the very end, when it's all explained, you're like, wow, that was some genius fucking storytelling on how you connected all these characters. It all made sense. And nothing seemed confused or jumbled when they were passing the torch and whatnot. It was just incredible storytelling. It's something like I've never really seen with that whole passing of the torch thing and still making sense at the very end. So not only that, the acting is superb. Gosling, he is just a guy trying to provide for his family, and it's just really heartbreaking to watch, to know that he has to go down those roads of robbing banks and stuff. And Bradley Cooper, he's got his problems and whatnot. It's just a really well-rounded movie. But I don't want to say anymore. This is a movie that you need to go into blind and you need to just enjoy. Like I said, these rarely ever come, but it's like almost a 3-hour epic drama. Epic dramas are really kind of hard to do and really kind of keep you engaged for that long amount of time. One of the best examples is Magnolia from Paul Thomas Anderson. That is an epic, literally a 3-hour drama. I think it's like 181 minutes. It's like 1 minute over, but yeah, Place Beyond the Pines is just spectacular. The cinematography is gorgeous, but we'll get to that in just a second as well. It is directed by Derek Cianfrance, and that screening is special to me because let me go and tell you guys the story right now, because, listen, this is not just the top 5 podcast. We talk about life on this podcast. I was working at my job, and the screening for Place Beyond the Pines was at 7 p.m. At the Angelica Theater down the road. I was ready to go, and so I actually left work, and don't worry, if that boss hears me now, that's okay. I left that job or I got laid off like a year and a half ago, so it doesn't matter if I say this. I left early because I said I was sick. I used my Crohn's disease to my advantage, and I was like, oh, guys, I'm not feeling so well. So I shouldn't have done that, but whatever. I wanted to go stand in line early, so I left after lunch. I got there at 1 p.m. to stand in a line for a 7 p.m. showing because Derek Cianfrance was going to be there because I saw Blue Valentine before that, and I was like, dude, I'm ready to see anything this guy does. And so I got there and everything, and that's where I met the lady who runs the website DallasMovieScreens.com. I mention it occasionally on here, and she's the one that got me into press credentials for Dallas. So this screening of Place Beyond the Pines is very special to me, and I get to meet Derek after the screening. Dude, the guy sounds like Gosling in like 20 years. I'm not even joking. I talked to him, and I was like, dude, you and Gosling got snubbed for Oscars on Blue Valentine. And he was like, oh, thanks, man. He was like really chill and calm, kind of like what Gosling would act like, but he was just an older version of him. And so I thought that was kind of cool. So I met him, and I was like, oh, I'm going to cherish this fucking moment. And if you want to see the picture, it's on my Facebook somewhere. But Place Beyond the Pines will hold a special heart because of that is the movie that launched my press credentials here, and I really enjoyed the movie quite a bit. So it's a very good movie. So all right, those are our number 3. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I don't want to. Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. Me and Brian have the same top 2, like literally in the same order. I'm pretty sure. I'm fairly sure. I'm kind of positive.
I don't know, because there's one particular film you praise more than the other, so I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
I think we got this, folks. This is gonna happen. We got the top 2 locked. So Let's find out. Brian, what is your number 2?
Honestly, here's the deal. My top 2 could go back and forth. I love both of these films so much that either one of them could be my number 1. But I had to go with my gut and think of the one that I personally enjoy watching more than the other. So my number 2 is Blue Valentine.
I'm going to slowly take a drink of my drink. And
Chase is drinking, which means, yeah, our top 2 are back and forth. It happens. I just watched this film for the first time literally right after we recorded our George Clooney episode. Like, right after we recorded that episode.
You're welcome.
No, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. Our buddy Amanda, like...
Amanda's not here to defend herself.
You're welcome. Which is her fault, but yes. Yeah, right after we recorded our Clooney episode, I originally was not going to watch I was going to watch it for this episode, but I wasn't going to watch it that night. But I decided to. I rented it from Google Play.
And before you get into your review, let me say this, guys. Brian watched it. He texted me his reaction. You guys are about to see this live. I haven't seen Brian face-to-face talk about this movie. So, Brian, pour your passion out. Pour your soul out. Why did you love Blue Valentine?
I loved it because the way, first of all, Gosling and Michelle Williams, I bought them as lovers. Mm-hmm. What they had to go through in this film was utterly heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. I could not believe the way the film, right after the film ended, I texted you. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, oh my God. Oh, man. Like, Gosling was, I agree with you. He was totally snubbed. Nothing against Michelle Williams. She was fantastic. I think I liked her performance a little more than Gosling.
The thing is, like, they were both excellent. I mean, that's as far as I'll go. But she got nominated. He did not. And neither did
I know.
Derek.
You could have easily taken now. I looked at the nominees. The nominees were Javier Bardem, Jeff Bridges, Eisenberg, Franco, and Firth. Colin Firth won. Obviously, no one was going to beat him that year. That was his year. His year was locked for every single award show. But I would have taken out Javier Bardem and replaced him with Gosling because, listen, Javier Bardem is already an Oscar winner to begin with. And two, I've seen Beautiful. It's a good film, but that performance isn't like the most spectacular thing ever. Every other performance could have stayed, and then I would have taken off him and replaced him with Gosling. Like, that's the truth. Yeah, what the characters had to go through, like, Dean and Cindy. Fuck, man.
All right, welcome to adulthood. Relationships are like that.
Also, like, yeah, the nonlinear storyline was terrific too. The writing was great. The direction was great. Derek Ciafrance, dude, you were a fucking Kane. Just like with Place Beyond the Pines, you're a Kane. I cannot wait for The Light Between the Oceans. I cannot wait for that film. Fassbender, Vikander, real life lovers. It's gonna work out very well. Hopefully. And yeah, just particularly in the hotel room, which, by the way, is the coolest hotel room I think I've ever seen in my life. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, just like you see them from when they first meet, and then when they get married, they have a kid. It just goes down, and you don't know if it's going to go back up or if it's even going to go downhill. There's a sequence where he goes to Michelle Williams' job, and he, like, flips the fuck out. It is insane. My fists were gripping against my couch seats, my couch handles, and I was just like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. This is really heartbreaking. This is truly just remarkable acting from Gosling. It's brilliant. I adore the crap out of Blue Valentine. I told this to Chase. Now I'm planning on getting the Blu-ray. I have Place Beyond the Pines on Blu-ray, so I think it would be nice if I owned Blue Valentine. And I've said this numerous times, I'm not a romance film fan ever, but these are the romance films that I enjoy. Like, I love watching films like the Before trilogy. I love watching certain rom-coms. This is easily one of the best romance films I've ever seen in my life. I cannot tell. Like, people who love romance films need to see this, but they need to be prepared. They have to be prepared for what they're going to get. I knew that I was not going to be like happy when I stopped watching the film, but I knew that I was in for something that's really remarkable. It's definitely a masterpiece of cinema. One of the best of the decade so far, in my opinion. One of the best films of 2010. It would have definitely been in my top. I think it's in my top 5 now in 2010. Like, it's not my number 1. I can tell you that right now. I still go on the limb by saying my favorite film in 2010 is The Social Network. And, yeah, Blue Valentine, fucking fantastic. And the sequence when they're walking around the city, one of the sequences, that was completely improvised. I looked online. It was completely improvised. That's the true genius of Gosling and Michelle Williams working together. They need to work together again. These 3 have to be together again. It's the truth. Blue Valentine, guys. Please check it out. But Chase will obviously talk about it more when it gets to him. So, yeah, Blue Valentine is my number 2.
I have a reason why Blue Valentine's not in the same position as you, but I'll explain in just a second. But for my number 2 is Brian's number 1 is Drive. Now listen, this was my introduction to Nicholas Winding Refn, and I'm going to say this on record right now. I really like Only God Forgives. Is it a lot stranger than Drive? Oh fuck yes, it is. But when you look at it as a whole, there's a lot more good than bad. So I really like that one quite a bit. But going to the first one, Drive. Holy shit. Just like Blue Valentine, when I saw it in theaters, I had no idea what to expect. And I walked out going, damn, that was a great experience. Drive to me is a really hard film to sell to people. Ryan Gosling barely says any words in it. There's nothing wrong with that. It kind of speaks a lot to his acting when you see a lot of facial expressions or movement just with his body or his eyes or his eyebrows, whatever the fuck. When you see that shit on screen, you are captivated. You can actually see what that character is going through emotionally or physically or whatever the hell just by looking at him. And that's what that character kind of evokes while Carey Mulligan's character kind of talks to him throughout the whole entire thing. But I didn't find a problem with him not talking. He plays a stuntman in Hollywood and stuff. And there's just, like I said, it's one of those films I don't want to really explain because I want you to go experience it. But the acting all around is top notch. But the biggest thing that this movie's got for it is its cinematography and its music. Nicholas Winding Refn is a visionary. I don't care what people say, if he's pretentious or not. The guy knows how to shoot a fucking movie. And that's the same thing goes with Only God Forgives. The cinematography in that is gorgeous. Drive, he uses so many nice long shots. There's so much color. It is rich beyond belief. It provides like this dreamlike world that this guy lives in. It's just, like I said, you get immersed into this world and you're like, dude, I do not want to fucking leave. It's so beautiful to look at. Every shot is just so meticulous on where everything's placed and wherever the thirds are in the camera. Like, if you guys don't know what the rule of thirds on a screen is, when you chop up the screen into 9 separate blocks, and on the intersections of the lines is where most like faces are or buildings or whatever, if you want to like keep it interesting instead of keeping it center frame. So what Nicholas Winding Refn does with his cinematography, he puts a lot of stuff in the thirds and it keeps it a lot more interesting, adding a lot more texture to each shot. I know I just went on like a completely weird cinematography rant, but it's beautiful, it's colorful, it's unique. And then, you got performances like Ron Perlman and Bryan Cranston that just like kind of are sprinkled in there. Like it's so good. And Ryan Gosling, he might be a pretty boy, but god damn it, he plays a badass so well in this one. Like, you do not want to fuck with him. Just kind of like with a Place Beyond the Pines, it's like, I ain't gonna fuck with that guy, especially the elevator scene. Once that scene happens, you were like, oh dear Lord, I don't want to fuck with this guy with the 20-foot pole. But Drive is very unique. But I will say this hey, listen, lady that sued the fucking movie because you thought it was Fast and Furious, go fuck yourself. If you guys don't know about this story, there was some lady back in 2011 that sued Drive, the movie, because she thought it was Fast and Furious and she expected something different. Well, guess what, motherfucker? Watch the trailer again. Yes, they do highlight on the action stuff. And I got to let you guys know this. It's not an action film. It is a slow kind of burn of a mix of drama with kind of suspense or whatever. Lady, if you got something different, that should be a good fucking thing. If I watch a trailer and I go, that seems like a pretty interesting tone, and they throw something completely different at me, I'll be like, wow, that's interesting. You know, I'm not going to like, oh my God, that just didn't work whatsoever. Because when you look at when you take the action scenes out of the trailer, it looks like an indie film. Like, it doesn't look like a Fast and Furious movie. Lady, you dumb. You fucking dumb, lady. Just go fucking take a nap. Go sleep it off for a bit. Wake up and realize that your life is just super shitty because you sued a movie called Drive because you thought it was Fast and Furious. Anyways, Drive is my number 2. Now, I'm going to just jump into this because we already know what each other's number 1s are. So, Brian, tell me why Drive is the best Ryan Gosling film of his career so far.
Well, first of all, before I finish speaking, like before I start speaking about the film, you forgot to mention one thing, and that is, of course,
I love that fucking song.
You forgot to mention the real hero and real human being and a real hero.
Hey, listen, I want to keep some things a surprise for the audience, Brian.
Yes, I get that, but like you could have said, and by the way, he's a real human being and a real hero.
He's a real human being and a real hero.
Drive.
Well, before I let Brian go on his little rant, I forgot to mention that Drive. I didn't know this after I saw it. It was based on a book. I didn't fucking know that, and so I was like, oh, interesting.
Oh, look at that! It says that right there. By the way, yes, I have the regular Blu-ray, but I borrowed this from my friend.
Oh my God! Give me that fucking steelbook, Brian.
I wish I had my own, but
God damn it, Brian! You better mail that to me pronto.
I will mail it to you. I won't return it to my friend. Shh! Don't tell anyone.
Oh my God!
Drive.
Steelbook.
Drive. To me, it was also my introduction to Nicholas Winding Refn. I remember when this movie was coming out. I'm like, who the hell is this Nicholas Winding Refn motherfucker? First of all, what kind of name is Winding Refn? But whatevs. Yeah, I saw it and I'm like, oh my God. At first I was like, that was good. It was good. Then I saw it again. I'm like, this is great. Then I saw it again. It's even better. And I just watched it this past Sunday for the first time in like 3 years. So, I mean, I was like, damn, this movie is fucking stellar. Like, yeah, I love Drive. It's a great, beautiful action thriller drama movie. Gosling's incredible. And people make it seem like he doesn't say anything in the movie at all. He says a good amount of lines. It's just not a lot of lines like he does. And like
yeah, he just doesn't say much. But
yeah, exactly. And only God Forgives, he literally says like nothing. And that's the movie where he doesn't say like a single thing except for "wanna fight." Yeah, wanna fight. Yeah, I want to fight you, bro. Actually, no, I don't, because you would beat me up. No, but yes, you bring up like everything that I was gonna bring up. The performances are awesome. My boy Cranston. I mean, when you have Cranston and Perlman in a film together, because I will go on the limb by saying Breaking Bad and Sons of Anarchy are my 2 favorite shows of all time. So seeing them 2 together, it gets me. And you forgot to mention one more performance, Albert fucking Brooks, man.
Oh yeah, Albert Brooks, man. He was
like
dope
snubbed. Like that performance was awesome. And then this was also the first time I ever saw Oscar Isaac in the film. So too.
Oh yeah.
Good old Poe Dameron, Apocalypse, yippee-ki-yay. Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, he's a stunt driver, and that night he's a getaway driver. Like, fucking awesome. Like, that's great. The opening sequence alone, I forgot the particular line. He's like, just, if you give me a time or place, whatever, you have 5 minutes. I wish I remember the exact line in my head, but I don't. And I just watched the movie the other night. Fuck. But no, Drive really is an incredible film. I think Chase said everything that I was going to say. I really do love the film, and I really wish I could, like, rock that jacket, man. Like, but no one can rock that jacket except for Gosling. Yeah, Drive, stellar film, one of the best of the decade. Love it. I think it should have been nominated for more awards, particularly cinematography and sound. Like, the cinematography is great. The drive-in sequences, there's only 2 car chase sequences. They're amazing. And one of the scenes where he interrogates Cranston's character, and then like it's them talking, then all of a sudden it cross dissolves to him driving, then it goes back to him interrogating Cranston, then it cross dissolves again. That's really good editing. Oh yeah, editing should have been nominated for best editing. Drive is a very fast-paced film. Some people may think it's slow. I thought it was fast from beginning to end. I wasn't bored one bit, honestly. Even when I first saw it, I wasn't bored. Excuse me. Drive, really, in my opinion, is my favorite Ryan Gosling film. I also go on a limb by saying I think it's the best Ryan Gosling film. And yes, the elevator sequence, genius, love it. Some people complain about the lower angle shot in the elevator. I'm not gonna complain about that, or the high angle shot when you see what you see him doing. I'm like, oh come on, it's there. It's there. Deal with it. I love Drive. Love from beginning to end. Drive is my number 1. Boom.
I'm sorry. Who's complaining about the lower floor shots or the high floor?
Some person whose name I cannot disclose, or I choose not to disclose. Well, actually, I don't remember the person's name. I just remember reading it online.
Okay, person that Brian does not want to disclose. Listen, motherfucker. When you have a shot on the ground like that, looking up, since you are so very familiar with Michael Bay films, because that seems like you're a little pea-brain can only watch. Michael Bay uses those shots all the time. Now, Michael Bay uses it for stylistic purposes, but the actual reasoning for doing that shot is to show how big someone is. And so when that shot is of Gosling stomping that dude's fucking face in the elevator, that floor shot makes him look like a badass motherfucker I don't want to mess with. Because up until then, he's been very quiet. He's been very reserved. But once he starts doing his shit, you're like, wow, yeah, I don't want to mess with that guy. He's a pretty powerful dude. So, no, that's what that shot is. But yeah, Drive is pretty awesome. You know what's really funny is that Drive actually has a sequel, book-wise, called Driver. And I wonder if they would ever do a sequel.
Well, I mean, with the way the movie ended, I feel like they wouldn't make a sequel. I wouldn't want one, only if Wine and Refn comes back to do it.
Oh, true, for sure. All right, so that's your number 1. Now, my number 1 is pretty damn obvious because I keep escaping it, so I'm going to talk about it. It's Blue Valentine. Now, the reason why I put this over Drive is because Drive is more stylistic. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the style it goes for, and it works. The reason why Blue Valentine is the best thing that Ryan Gosling has ever put his name on, and is definitely the definitive romance movie, not The Notebook, even though I like The Notebook, is because Blue Valentine felt raw. It felt real. I felt like I was watching this real couple going through these situations, downfall, happy times or whatever. I felt like I was watching a real-life couple go through this shit. And that's what made Blue Valentine so much more special to me than anything else he's ever done. It was raw. It was intense. There was a lot of emotion behind it. There was a lot of depth in it. It was just insane how much there was that was in this movie. But it's just a bare bones romance story. That's all it is. It wasn't even that expensive to make. It was a really cheap movie to make. But there was a lot going on with Gosling's character, with Michelle Williams' character. It was just insane. And the best thing I can say about this movie is that the way it's told, the non-linear structure. Because when you tell a movie from start to finish, there's nothing wrong with that. If you tell it correctly, you tell it well, nothing wrong with that. But what Derek Cianfrance did with this one is that he would take the moments of when them first meeting and he would splice it in with them later in their life with a kid and stuff. And so when you see that, because the movie, I'm going to tell you guys, it opens up with them having a kid and they're kind of older or whatever. And then it flashes back to when they first met. And then it kind of goes back and forth, kind of like that. When a movie starts like that, you're like, okay, so this is the end. We know how it ends. Not really. Without spoiling anything on how it ends, the way it's constructed and the way it's edited and put together, it shows the happy side and it shows the depressing side. And you're like, wow, at some point in their life, they were happy and they were in love. And you sit there as an audience going, What happened? What happened between that time when they first met and they really loved each other? And now you're at this point where you're yelling at each other, screaming at the top of your lungs. What happened? And that's what's kind of shocking to me, because most movies from Hollywood, they Hollywoodize romance movies and so happy and so lovey-dovey. This movie makes it fucking real, because a lot of couples go through with this shit. A lot of people will have that spark at the beginning and then it'll die off. And then they split up, they get a divorce, whatever. That's fucking life. That's what the majority of people do in this country nowadays. Now, how is this movie in? I don't know. You'll have to find out. Do they make it work? Do they not make it work? But that's why this movie is special. It is realistic. I love the way it was told. The acting is superb, and Gosling got snubbed, and so did C in France for directing. It felt raw. It felt intense. It's just a very strong, emotional, genuine romance film that's told very differently. And it may not have a happy ending. It may have a different ending. But it's a realistic ending. And that's why Blue Valentine is the best Ryan Gosling film he has done in his career so far. I love that fucking movie. I saw Blue Valentine in theaters, and I was working at the theater at the time. I was the only one in the theater, by the way. And there were several parts in the movie where I cried. Quite a bit. Especially at the end. But that could be happy tears. That could be sad tears. I know. I keep teasing you. I keep twisting your nips. And you're like, well, Jesus Christ, just tell us what happened. No, go see the movie. Blue Valentine is one of the best romance movies I've ever seen. It's one of my favorites in my collection. Love it, love it, love it. So, that is it, guys, for this episode. Before we get into our honorable mentions, what is your favorite Ryan Gosling film? What is your least favorite? Comment in the place where on my face and let me know. And before we get into our honorable mentions, here's the board for this week, ladies and germs. We both have Blue Valentine, Drive, and The Place Beyond the Pines, and Crazy Stupid Love. The only thing we have different is The Ides of March and The Notebook. That's only because I haven't seen The Ides of March. So that is our list, guys. And speaking of ones that just didn't make it in there, I only have one, I believe. Only God Forgives, I believe. While I'm looking up, hold on, guys. While I'm looking up Gosling's filmography, Only God Forgives. Is it as good as Drive? No, I'll go ahead and admit that right now. It's not as good as Drive, but I think it's a pretty solid film. It's a very experimental film. Once again, the cinematography is gorgeous. The music's really great. Gosling is really great. There's just a lot of obscure things that didn't really click on at first, but starting to come around it more. I did not see Gangster Squad. Thank God for that. I did see Fracture, though. Fracture's a pretty good one with him and Anthony Hopkins. This is a pretty nice little harmless kind of lawyer, law thriller or whatever. And The Big Short. I really like The Big Short quite a bit. Didn't make my list, but it's a really solid film. And a great directorial debut from Adam McKay. Brian.
Directorial debut from Adam McKay.
I meant directorial debut in a drama. Because Adam McKay, he directed Anchorman and Step Brothers and stuff. I meant, you know what
yes, I know what you meant, but some people are going to be like, what does he mean by that?
Just calm the fuck down, people. It is essentially a directorial debut for him in that genre, because it was something very different than what he did. So I meant debut. I meant something else. I said debut. You understand?
Yeah, we get it. My honorable mentions, Big Short. I'll give a shout out to The Notebook for sure. Did you ever see Lars and the Real Girl?
Oh yeah, I did see that one. That was pretty good. It was a weird one, but I liked it.
There we go. That's a good one too. Remember him in Remember the Titans?
I forgot he was in that.
That's another one he was in. Have Nelson just watched it today. Good film, not great, but he was fantastic in it. Like his character, since this is the film he got the Oscar nomination for, so I understand why he got his first nomination for that. Only God Forgives to me is just okay. It would be in the okay films. So
It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna knock you for it. It's a very weird movie.
it doesn't matter if it's weird or not to me. It's just I'm just judging from filmmaking. It's just an okay made film. It's just not the best made film. Although I will say that while I will say that Drive is definitely a beautifully shot film, I think Only God Forgives might just be as beautiful. I don't know.
The cinematography
I might be
is
crazy.
ridiculous.
I might be crazy, but the scope of the color red in Only God Forgives in Japan, it takes place in Japan, China, Tokyo, something, Korea. I don't know. One of the countries in Asia. It makes it look dope. All right, moving on to dishonorable mentions.
Whoa, Brian, Jesus. Sorry. God.
I'm finished. I'm done.
Damn, he just wants to get this episode done. I don't blame him because we have to record the Russell Crowe one right after this. Yeah, for dishonorable mentions, I don't have any because I never saw Gangster Squad. I heard All Good Things was pretty bad. I haven't seen a bad film from him yet. So maybe that's just I pick his films wisely. I don't know. So do you have any that you just didn't like?
I didn't hate Gangster Squad, but that's probably the one I'm going to go with. That's my least favorite one. I was so disappointed with Gangster Squad because I was really looking forward to it. As you know, and as some people who've been longtime viewers know, crime is my favorite genre of film. So, like, I was already sold on this, and I love this cast. Like, Gosling, Brolin, Nolte, Penn, Emma Stone, Anthony Mackie, Robert Patrick, Michael Pena. This cast was great. Like, but everyone was just so wooden and mellow. The thing that upset me the most, and I think a lot of people know this, but if people don't know, if people remember that tragic shooting in 2012 at the Dark Knight Rises midnight screening, they had to cut out a scene in this movie involving the movie theater shooting, and they had to replace it with something else. I will admit that I don't know what scene they changed, but I have an idea, and I thought it was well done. But it's just the film was just so flat. Sean Penn as Mickey Cohen going, "Here comes Sandy Claus." Like, what? Give me a fucking break. Like, come on, man.
Sounds awful.
Bro, you're a two-time Oscar winner. You could do better than that. And he makes out with Emma Stone. That's kind of fucked up because he's like almost 30 years older than her. Ugh. Ugh. Gross. Yes. So that's my dishonorable mention.
Alrighty then. So guys, that will do it for this week's episode. But let me ask you again: what is your favorite and least favorite Ryan Gosling film? And I do apologize for the lack of light in my room. I usually film these things with Brian, and it's usually a sunny fucking day. But my window is open, and it's fucking cloudy because it's been cloudy all week. So I apologize that it looks like I'm recording in some basement that the Silence of the Lamb killer bought. But I just
Silence of the Lamb killer Bob. Buffalo Bill.
No. Silence of the Lamb killer bot. That's what I said.
Killer bot. Everybody said Killer Bob. I'm like, his name is Buffalo Bill.
I forgot Buffalo Bill. I'm sorry because I'm not a movie fan. I don't know anything. Yeah. So I really apologize for the light, but for the Russell Crowe one, I'm about to fix up some light fixtures. So I apologize for it getting super dark. But that will do it for this week's episode. Brian, what are we doing next week?
Well, obviously, we're doing Russell Crowe next, but if you guys don't really have any interest in watching the Russell Crowe episode, which is sad, next week, X-Men Apocalypse comes out. We're going to be doing our top 5 X-Men films. Starting Friday, I'm going to start rewatching every single X-Men film. I don't really want to spend any more money this week, but I'm going to see 3 movies, so that's a lot of money I'm spending. So I already have 3 at home. That's the only one I need on Blu-ray. Oh, crap, I don't have the Wolverine. Yeah, top 5 X-Men films. And I talked about this with Chase. Deadpool is eligible to be on our list. It's eligible. So if people are wondering, that is eligible.
Yep, Deadpool is eligible. It is considered part of the X-Men universe. He is a part of X-Force. He's in the comics and stuff. So that fucking counts. Now, will he be in X-Men films in the future? Probably not. And if he is, he'll be extremely neutered. Which will be very funny, but that does count. So so if you want to watch the Russell Crowe episode, it should be on the channel as well, so check that out. But thank you for watching Top 5 Saturdays Live. Brian, where can people find you online?
Twitter, Brian Sutz98, and on YouTube at Brian Sutfield.
Awesome. Then you can find me at Real Chase Lee or right here at the bottom. You want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Spreaker, all that jazz. You can fucking do that. If you want an audio-only version and you're watching on YouTube, link in the description below. And if you want a video version and you're listening on Spreaker, link will be in the description below. But I highly will advise you not to do that because if you watch the video version, you will see that I'm recording inside of like some dark, dank room that I'm probably going to get murdered in. So I apologize. Fuck you, Clouds. All right, so yeah, that will do it for this week's episode of the Top 5
What
Top 5 Saturdays Live. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week or on over at the Russell Crowe episode. So I'm Chase Lee.
I'm Brian Suffield.
That's fucking right. See you guys next week or on the Russell Crowe episode. Bye-bye. Ryan Gosling. Man of few words, but the beauty of a saint. All right. See you guys later.